Okay, at 7 o'clock, I will open tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board of Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. I ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and do my usual opening here. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting's conclusion. If you have a computer or a smartphone or a tablet and would like to participate in tonight's meeting remotely, you can do so via the Zoom application. Tonight's webinar ID is 909-174-0347. If you don't have one of those devices or don't have access to one and would like to participate via telephone, you can dial 888-475-4499 and enter again the webinar ID of 909-174-0347. The posted agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. So open time and see if there's any public comment from the board this evening.
None.
I have none. No.
And none from me. Any public comment from the public? Seeing no one.
Oh, hold on, I think Mr. Passios.
Ah, Mr. Passios.
Yeah, sorry about that. I couldn't find my hand quick enough. Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. Just want to remind the public that the Parks Commission meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. will be highlighting two proposals from the Wohler landscape engineers for Marshall Park. That'll be the latest update on the plans for that park. Thank you.
Where is it going to be held?
It'll be there at the town hall.
Here, right here? Okay.
And on Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other public comment from the public? Do you have any announcements?
Nope. Mr. Passios took one of my announcements.
Ah.
The only other one is the deadline for the annual town meeting warrant articles is Monday by 4 p.m. to our office. So if you're going
Okay.
to submit a warrant article, it has to be in by 4 p.m. Monday.
7:05, we have a public hearing for an all-alcoholic liquor license and a change of manager for Genghis Inc., doing business as Jack's Country Variety at 1353 Massachusetts Ave. Do we have a public notice I'm supposed to read? Okay. By the time I finish this, it will be 7:05. The Lunenburg Licensing Authority will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. on the application submitted by Genghis Inc., doing business as Jack's Country Variety, for a change from package store wine and malt to package store all alcoholic beverages, and a change of manager to Aaron Wernick, located at 1353 Massachusetts Ave, Lunenburg, Mass. I assume the store is located there, not necessarily Aaron. The premises is described as a single-level variety store providing food for takeout, 1,500 square foot area with 2 exits/entrances, 2 bathrooms, a sink prep area, and office. The hearing will be at Lunenburg Town Hall, 2nd floor, 17 Main Street. The rest is just the Zoom information of tonight's meeting. So with that being said, took just enough time to make it 7:05. So if the applicant would be coming forward, please, and just tell us what your looking to do, going to be doing beyond what I just read? First,
Basically,
introduce yourself.
Alan Warnick, representing Jack's Country Variety. What other information would you need?
So right now you're a wine and malt.
Yes.
Okay. And you're looking for all alcohol. Any changes in your hours at all?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Any other changes beside what you'll be carrying that we should know about?
As far as,
Any other changes beside the fact that
no, we're
instead of
gonna,
just wine and beer, you're
spruce
gonna have
up the
all
store,
of-
maybe put down a floor, put some new racking in,
No,
make
no,
it-
but I mean in the operation, not in the decoration.
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, I'm not planning to change anything.
Okay. Anybody have a question for the applicant on, we're going to take it as one vote on both.
Yeah, I have some questions.
So go ahead, Mr. Jeffries.
I just want to go back to the hours question. Do you anticipate changing the hours down the line?
Yes,
And down the line, what do you anticipate those hours being?
no later than 11 o'clock on probably like on a Friday or Saturday night. That's about it. I'm not looking to stay open any later than that. Honestly, I'm just too tired. But it's just,
Well, I don't think you can, right?
honestly, I don't know. I think the original hours that we had when we opened the business with the pizza shop was up to 11 o'clock, and I'm not planning to stay open any later than that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm planning to stay. I'm not going to stay open any later than that. I'm going to be clear on that. That's
What
not-
time do you close now?
Well, right now, we're closing at 9 because it's COVID hours, and we just kind of cut back. We were open till 10 and 11 o'clock originally, and then we cut back to 9 because nobody was out.
If you went to 10 and 11, it would be just a reverting back to what you had been doing pre-COVID.
Yes.
Okay.
And what hours would you anticipate opening?
Right now, we open at 7:30 every morning, except on Sundays. I think we open at 8 on the weekends, but I know there's alcohol restrictive hours, so we wouldn't be selling alcohol. We don't do it now. The only difference between how we're operating now and how we're operating then is basically we're going to be selling hard liquor. Other than that, there's no difference in the operation. We still check IDs. We still do all the things we're supposed to do. We're all now tip certified currently for off-premise, as we promised we would do. And, basically it's going to be business as usual.
All right. My next question was tips, but so thank you for that information. The last thing I have is non-alcoholic items. So currently you sell a lot of non-alcoholic items. How many of those would you intend to continue to sell that's not liquor with the changeover?
I intend to sell almost everything we continue, just in a smaller volume. In other words, if we had, say, 6 rows of canned soup, we might do 2 rows of canned soup. We're just going to condense the store. So I think all of you have been in the store? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you walk in the front door and you walk to the right is where the beer and wine is currently. We intend to dedicate probably about a third to a half of the store to beer, wine, alcohol. The other half of the store, we're going to be removing the hot dog machine, and there's a big counter there. So we're going to move the groceries from one side to the other side, condensing everything down. I got a mental floor plan. I haven't written it down, but we're going to be investing in a lot more shelving, so we'll be able to condense down what we have and still keep probably 95% of everything we carry, the chips, the soda, the dog food, the wood, everything. I mean, I don't want to lose that part of the business. All we're looking to do is enhance the current business we have with the hard liquor.
My only concern is with what you sell is the marijuana paraphernalia. That I see a conflict selling liquor and marijuana paraphernalia. The bongs that you sell in your store right now, all the weed-related stuff. And I'm not aware if I don't know if the state puts restrictions on that. I thought that they did, that they restricted businesses from selling that kind of stuff if you're selling liquor. But maybe the chief would know the answer to that.
Not to put you on the spot.
You knew you were going to be called to testify.
Yeah, I don't know though.
I don't believe that's,
I don't believe it
I
either.
would have to research that just to
All
be
right.
sure.
But that's just my own personal concern. I mean, I know that, people are going to do what they're going to do regardless, right? And it doesn't matter if you're selling it, the person off the street selling it, if they want it, they're going to buy it. But I think that my concern is just, one-stop shop to get pretty jacked up. So, all right, that's all I have.
Any other questions about the change from malt and wine to all alcohol?
No, I have
No,
none.
okay, no, I don't either. And I just introduced the change of manager. I am assuming that
Aaron?
you would just introduce yourself quickly.
My name is Aaron Wernick. Alan's my father. What else I'm sorry, I'm new to this, so I apologize.
So you're going to be the manager
I
then?
am. I'm technically kind of operating as a manager as well anyways. Have been for a while. I, know the half of everybody here anyways, but yeah. I'll be operating as the manager for the store.
How often are you there for most of the opening hours?
I was for a while. I've been taking some time off. My dog's been really sick, and she's getting old. Yeah, thank you. So it's been kind of hectic with that. So
On a typical week?
yeah, I'll be there quite a bit, usually throughout the day. Me and my mother kind of, share hours through there. Well, no, not really. No, that's right. It's, oh my God. I apologize.
40 hours.
Yeah, I apologize. My mind's been elsewhere lately because of the dog. I do apologize.
All the paperwork we have is filled out?
Yes, everything's in order.
Everything's paid?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to add, this was the article at town meeting that was a home rule petition to petition the state for an additional alcohol license.
Yep. Well, glad to see it finally happen.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, anything that requires state legislation, special legislation.
Yeah, I look forward to only driving a half a mile to get some liquor.
Anybody have any questions about change of manager?
None.
Then let's take one single motion for both. I would entertain a motion for both the change of manager and the change from wine and malt to all alcohol.
I move to approve the all alcohol liquor license and the change of manager for Genghis Inc. doing business as Jack's Country Variety at 1335 Massachusetts Ave.
Or a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Good luck.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right. When does the change of manager take effect, by the way?
As soon as we,
Sign
the
everything.
meeting, what,
Okay. When will this be ready for them?
Should be tomorrow. Just contact Elaine, the office.
right, and then now this has to go back to the state.
Oh, yes,
and
yeah.
The state has to go through all.
Change
the-
of manager doesn't have to go back to the state, does it? Maybe
Yes,
it
they
does.
do.
I believe
a
it
coordinated
does.
as well,
Yeah,
so
I think
Yeah.
it does too. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's all probably going to take effect at the same time.
But it will be filed
Probably
right
won't be
away.
2 years. I predict it'll be less than that. No, I do wish you the best of luck with it.
Well, thanks.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
All right, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
It's good to see all of you. Especially you, Lou. I haven't seen you in a while, so.
It has been a while, yes.
It was just waiting for this to pass, that's all.
And there you have it. Okay, we all set?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you very much.
You have a great night. Thank you.
7:15, Well, I'm not used to being a minute early, I'm used to being like 5 minutes late. So, 7:15, we have a continuation of the poll petition for Unitil for Kilburn Street, Plan 971-L, and the discussion on scenic road tree hearing.
Do, yeah.
Welcome back. Again, just for the record, reintroduce yourself,
Yes, John Kimball, representing Unitil.
okay? And let us give us a second to get this document back up here.
Thanks.
Oh, it's from last week. Poll petitions, Kilburn Street, which one?
The one with 4 poles off
Yeah,
of
I'm just
Lemonster.
looking how it was listed here, that's all.
Thanks for the
That's it.
additional time.
Yeah, okay.
No problem.
Go check.
Okay,
I
so
made sure the stakes were out.
members of the board, of the board wanted time to, think about this and look at it. Does anybody have questions about it?
No,
No.
I don't.
pretty straightforward.
All right, pretty straightforward. I'm still not a big fan of the crossing the street. I'll say that every time you guys come here, but fine.
I think it made a little more sense because of the incline in that area.
The incline, and there were some larger trees that We just don't want to remove large trees if we don't have to. I am a former arborist, so I do
Well, no,
look
I mean,
out
I
for
agree with that, and it's just, I just wish there was other ways, because, again, just, it's just a visual thing. That's
No,
all.
I understand.
I'll be very plain. All right, so I would entertain a
This is just my own edification, sorry. But when you do have curves, I mean, you kind of, at a curve, at least that's what I've observed on roads, you have to cross the street to minimize the number of inflection points, right? I
That's
mean,
correct. Otherwise, you're going to put too much strain on the pole, the wire, and
and
you're
also to
going
make
to
a turn,
basically
you would
cause
need more-
damage by not crossing the road.
Yeah, okay.
Right, but it crosses the road 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's what I'm talking about, so. The last time maybe is not, I mean, there's probably nothing you could do with the last one that goes into Leominster Road, but the other ones just go all over
The
the place.
pole 3, if we move to the other side, would be removing some very large trees.
Okay, I would entertain a motion regarding the poll petition from Unitil for Kilburn Street, Plan 971-L, as discussed.
Yep, I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Sorry to have you come out here, but
Not a problem.
Yeah, he was-
Anytime.
If he figured if he was
First
going to
page.
come all the way out here, he wanted a little bit of a fight,
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
all right. Lou signs the first and second, everybody else just signs the second page on both of these.
So, timed perfectly. We have time for police department.
Yes, ratification of, is this?
Town manager's appointment
Jesse
of
Reed?
Jesse
Okay.
Reed.
So, ratification of the town manager's appointment of Jesse Reed effective April 4th, 2022. Chief, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everybody tonight?
Excellent.
If I may I make a couple of announcements, recognitions for some officers prior to the appointment?
Of course.
Okay. First officer, letter of commendation that was just issued is to Officer Nick Marino. Back in February, he was investigating a domestic violence call. During the investigation, he had determined that a child that was involved in a domestic violence incident, the child's toy was broken intentionally. The child was just devastated. Out of the goodness of his heart, he went home, grabbed his own Nintendo Switch and gave it to the child. For something like that, that just goes beyond of what's required of a police officer. The second recognition is for two of the officers. One is here tonight, and he has no idea I'm speaking about him. So if he comes, tries to tackle me, please come up and help me out here. Officer Matthew and Lieutenant Thibodeau, we have been dealing with an elderly resident in town here for quite some time. Whether it be well-being checks, assisting the resident with shoveling, or taking care of his driveway. Recently, we had found that during a well-being check, Officer Matthew discovered that he had no heat. And during the process, he found that the gentleman was heating his residence with either space heaters or a wood stove, and it just wasn't conducive. The house was in a disarray. Officer Matthew made some arrangements with the Veteran Affairs, was able to secure a heating company to come out and inspect it. During the inspection, the heating company wouldn't touch it until the house was cleaned. Officer Matthews secured a cleaning company, and through some of his own finances and obtaining finances, he paid for the cleaning. In the meantime, Lieutenant Thibodeau took his own truck, went to his house, picked up a load of wood, and brought it to this gentleman just so he had heat and to provide it. Again, this shows these acts of kindness by members of our police department goes beyond what is expected of them, and well deserving of letters of commendation for what they did. Their character, what they have provided to us, this is exactly what we're looking for in community policing. These guys went above and beyond what was needed to them, and I commend them wholeheartedly. And I've said this before in open meetings that I believe that the officers in our department are best in the state. And I will say that till the day I retire.
Well,
Lieutenant Thibodeau's here. Thank him.
I will just echo that, having been fortunate enough to serve with two of your predecessors, now yourself, I would agree with that statement. And, around, when you hear all the things in the news going on in other places, and people talk about community policing, it's just a marketing term to some people, but here it really is true. They really are, all the members are members of the community, and it really works so successfully here. So I commend them, and I commend you on running the department and keeping that way.
Thank you. Again, I'm only as strong as the members of my department, and they reflect everything that embodies community policing. And I'm glad that's brought up today, because our newest member that we want to bring aboard hears all that, and I think he embodies what we're talking about, and he's going to be a good fit for our police department. As you know, in February, Officer DaCosta returned to the fire service. Can't understand why, this uniform. Which created an immediate need for us, a full-time opening. At the time we posted the position, we interviewed 7 candidates. 2 candidates were identified at the end of the interview process. They were presented to myself and the lieutenant. After the lieutenant and I completed the interview process, we are pleased to recommend that Jesse C. Reed to the full-time position. Jesse is currently residing in Fitchburg. He is originally from Pepperell, Massachusetts, graduating from North Middlesex Regional High School. Jesse holds a bachelor's degree of science in criminal justice from Fitchburg State University, graduating cum laude in 2015. Jesse completed the full-time Municipal Police Training Academy at Methuen Police Academy in 2019. It should be noted that Jesse was a self-sponsored recruit. One of the things that entails is he had to seek out a department to sponsor him through the academy. All the fees pertaining to the PAT, the physicals, and the academy fees were all on him, and he had no guarantee that he was going to be hired anywhere. Upon successfully completing the academy, he was hired by the Berlin Police Department and has been there since. He has completed specialized training in various disciplines, and he is currently the department's critical incident management systems. That is the program that we're involved in also in central Massachusetts with opioid abuse and drug addiction. Jesse has successfully completed a background investigation, psychological examination, and pre-employment physical. Jesse is also a certified police officer in accordance with Post Commission and the MPTC. Upon completion of his background investigation, what stood out to me was some comments and statements that were made. He's kind and compassionate. I don't think I ever saw him get mad. His current supervisor stated that he's a great kid. Nothing is bad to say about him. You guys are lucky to have him. Along those notes, the chief was on a board with me at Neshoba Regional Valley Dispatch, and he wasn't too happy that I took him. And he made that comment today, but I assured him that he's coming to a great place. These are the qualities that we strive to look for in all our officers, and I think Jesse embodies those qualities and is going to be a great fit with us. The lieutenant and myself met with the top 2 candidates, just to give you an idea of the process. When we met with Jesse, he fit everything that was in this background. He fit that the qualities that we're looking for our community and for our department. And I'm pleased to say that we offered him a position, and he's accepted a position with us. So I would like to introduce Jesse.
All right. Good evening. Pretty tough to top that. But no, very excited to be here. Very nice to meet everyone. I was expecting to say everything that the chief already said. I'm originally from the area. I have a lot of ties to this area, so it's nice being able to work close to home now. Recently just bought a house in Fitchburg, and one thing that really stood out to me about Lunenburg, especially the Lunenburg Police Department, was professionalism. And even with speaking members of the town, it just seemed like there's a lot of support for the police department, and it just seems like the department itself is very on board in ensuring that they take care of the guys. It seems like they're very professional. They want to expand. They want to grow, and ultimately, that's something that really caught my attention, and that's something that I want to be a part of, and that's something I'm looking to stay in for the rest of my career.
I just have one question. and-
Sure.
And feel free, if this is not answerable, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure.
So why the decision to move, you were obviously, you were employed in Berlin
Yes.
as a full-time officer?
Yes, sir.
So why the move to Lunenburg?
So at the time, the chief mentioned I was a self-sponsor. So that kind of left me in the position that I had no guarantees for a department. So once I finished the academy, I was eager to just start anywhere. So I was jumping all over the state, just hoping for that one opportunity to just start. And fortunately, Berlin was that department that gave me the opportunity, which for that, I will forever be thankful for them for that. But ultimately, I couldn't see myself staying there the entire time. Lunenburg is the kind of town I wanted to work in. And I wanted to get a few years under my belt, get the experience, get comfortable with the job. And going forward now, I feel like I'd be a great fit for Lunenburg.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the members of the board?
I just want to say welcome, Chief. I'm always amazed at the character of folks you bring in, and I'm sure Jesse's going to do a fantastic job, and I'm pleased that he's going to join the force.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, and what he said.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question was actually the same as the chair's, and I think that you gave a very good, nice, between the lines answer on that one, but I certainly can hear what you're not saying in that answer. So I think that I agree that our police department is excellent. I think that we are the best around, the best that I know of at least. And I'm constantly impressed by the hiring practices of the police department. And I'm sure you've met a couple of people through the hiring process. So you see the quality of officers that we have, and certainly you seem to be from the presentation today and the glowing review from the chief.
Absolutely.
Certainly in the mold. So I absolutely support this appointment and welcome on board.
Thank you.
I will say, as you heard from the chief before presenting you, the two commendations, the kind of people he looks for and the kind of department that has been built over the years that he now maintains and continues that. So if he feels strongly, as he said, that you fit that mold, then I trust his and his administrative staff's instincts on that. We have never been let down before, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Now to make it official, I will entertain a motion that we ratify the town manager's appointment of Jesse Reed effective April 4th, 2022.
All right, I move to ratify the appointment of Jesse Reed effective April 4th, 2022.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you out there. Is he going to be out there on the 4th or on the 5th?
On the floor.
On the 4th. All right, we'll look for you.
Thank you.
If I may, one more announcement.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we had a resignation. Reserve Officer Esteban Bonilla Perez has accepted a position with the Fitchburg Police Department, the Civil Service Department. He lives in the city there. They picked him up and grabbed him for me, so.
So is this a conservation of police officers? Is that what happened?
Well,
Is that the sort of
yeah, I
shuffleboard
think
effect?
so. We want to try to, and unfortunately, I think this is a result of these new police reforms that we're seeing with reserve officers, that it's getting more difficult to keep them.
Right.
So unfortunately, we lost them, and
Well, I thank him for his time here.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
his service to the town. I
Thank
wish him the best of luck
absolutely.
in
Thank-
Fitchburg.
That would be it.
Excellent.
Quick and easy.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Well, Board of Registrars, Shirley McBride, 159 Hollis Road. Thank you. Is she here?
No, she's on Zoom.
What?
She's on Zoom. So she just,
Oh, she's on Zoom, okay.
yes,
Oh, is that it?
Shirley,
Yes.
not Judith. Yeah.
No, I didn't say Judy, I said Shirley.
So
Okay,
Judith,
from what I understand, that this is a reappointment?
Yeah.
So Shirley is is a senior in town and not comfortable driving at night for our interviews, but she already holds the position and asks us to be reappointed to the Board of Registrars for another term, which would run from April 1st, 2022. to March 31st, 2025. Did we have anybody submitting anything
No,
for or against?
no.
Do we have an idea how long she's been on this?
Let me see if
I'm just
I'll-
asking.
I don't know if.
I have every intention of reappointing her, I just wanted to know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long.
I know a
she
lot of
served.
people, yeah, I know a lot of people on the Board of Registrars have been doing this for a long time, so. I would entertain a motion to reappoint Shirley McBride of 159 Hollis Road to the Board of Registrars for a term of 3 years from April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Please let Shirley know that she needs to get sworn in before her first meeting after April 1st. Appointment of a member to the Cultural Council, Judith Ernst of 568 Flat Hill Road, term to expire June 30th, 2025. I believe Judith is on
She is.
Zoom.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Judith, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully, thanks. So, tell us a little, introduce yourself, who you are, and why you want to be on the Cultural Council.
So, my name is Judith Ernst, and I've lived in Nuremberg for 25 years now. And I am a piano teacher, and I have, my kids are in college now, and I thought that it would be really nice for me to do something for the town. I have a lot of connections. And so I'm hoping that the arts, as always in the past, will I'm sorry, that I can contribute.
Sure. How long have you been a piano teacher?
All my life, 25 years.
I like the fact that you chose in front of the piano with the sheet music up there.
Actually, I just finished teaching, so I got a little nervous about this appointment. I couldn't find the Zoom link, so
Well, if
I
someone-
apologize. I also apologize for not appearing last time because I have a broken leg.
Oh,
So-
boy. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm on the mend.
All right, well, I'm glad you're healing, and it's no problem. I mean, it happens. To miss a meeting, it's no big deal. And as an adult piano learner, somebody who started like 5 years ago, I'm very touched by the fact that the background is a piano. So.
Yeah, and let me just say that my oldest student is 80 years old, so.
All right, well, I may look you up. You never know. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Ernst?
None.
Well, I think, as always, we all want to thank you for coming forward. And, you know, the Cultural Council in the past has put on some wonderful events, and the diversity on the Cultural Council. We just had a recent spate of appointees from all different backgrounds and all different arts. So it's nice that we have that kind of diversity here in town to put on the events that they do. And so I look forward to you being on there and contributing yourself.
And I am as well.
Excellent. All right, I would entertain a motion about appointing Judith Ernst of 568 Flat Hill Road to the Cultural Council, term to expire June 30th, 2025.
I move to appoint Judith Ernst to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Term to expire June 30th,
2025.
2025.
Yep.
Thank you for the assist.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very
None.
much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Make sure you make a visit when you can to the town clerk's office. You can get sworn in before your meetings.
Yeah,
All right, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Uh,
7:40.
Yes, so do we have,
Yes, they're on Zoom.
yes, but is it, I guess we can start early. It's not a public hearing, so we can start early, right?
Yes.
Or can we do any of these others? How long is your town manager report?
Maybe longer than 5 minutes.
7 minutes. All right, 5 minutes. All right, we'll start. Okay, so at 7:40, we have a meeting with the environmental consultant on next steps for 925 Mass Ave, which is the wonderfully appointed old gas station on Mass Ave. So, who do we have online?
Joe McLaughlin from
I'm here.
the Beta Group.
All right, Joe McLaughlin, not to be confused with the PAC director, Joe McLaughlin.
Right.
Okay.
He has got one email from me misdirected.
Joe, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, so I'll let the town manager introduce this and then start.
Yes, so as the board is well aware, and the public, I hope, by tuning into meetings and reports on this, 925 Mass Ave has been the source of discussion for many years, and trying to find a solution for that property and clean up and remediate the underground storage tanks, as well as limit the liability of the town. We have had the ability to take the property, but have been going through all of the different processes to make sure to limit the town's liability. And Joe is going to speak to that tonight, as well as where we're at. We've submitted an application to EPA for targeted brownfields assessment for cleanup of that site.
Okay.
Yes. So we, under a grant that the MRPC, the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, received, this site was assessed last summer. We did find some contamination there, but not anything that would be unexpected at an old gas station. And, you know, the biggest issue remaining at the property is that the underground storage tanks are still there. There's a septic system still there. There's underground piping still there. And I think there's also a dry well still there. So we've been trying to help Heather, you know, find some funding to do more work at the property. We worked with Mark Baldy at DEP, and he referred us to EPA. EPA is, luckily for the town, EPA has lots of funding right now through the infrastructure funding that's been coming from the federal government, and is prepared to do a targeted brownfields assessment at the property. And luckily, as part of their assessment, we were able to assess around the tanks. They can use their money to remove the tanks so that they can do assessment under the tanks. So their plan, I believe, their plan will evolve. We don't have their final plan yet, but their plan that they're talking about is to remove the tanks, remove the pumps, hopefully remove the septic system and the dry well. They may remove the canopy above the pumps that are there now. So they're prepared to do quite a bit of work on the property using an EPA contractor. So they're not going to provide the money to the town. They're going to provide services to do this work. The one sticking point at this point is control of the site or access to the site. There's, you know, some concern that if they do all this work with the current owner, then they could, you know, benefit from it and, you know, maybe try and keep it or something like that. So we think that it would be in the town's best interest to actually, you know, obtain title to the property, so you have control of it. EPA can do their work. Their work will not get the site completely remediated, but it'll take it, you know, pretty far along. Once they're done, the town will then be in a position to apply for an EPA remediation grant, which being a site that's already been worked on EPA kind of gives it a leg up to qualify for additional funding. So once they're done with the targeted brownfields assessment, we'll know exactly what's left to be done. we can apply a cost to that, and then we can apply to EPA for a remediation grant, and that they will actually give the funding to the town, and then the town will remediate the property, and then hopefully be able to sell it and get it redeveloped into something useful for the town.
I just want to add to what Joe said is in order to apply for that EPA cleanup funding, we would have to own the property as well. And what we also talked about when we talked with EPA, Jim Byrne is the person, he had a conflict with for tonight, he couldn't attend, but is that the liability part to the property is if there were imminent hazard. And that has not been identified at all in all the assessments that have been done. So
yeah, I can speak to that. So Mass DEP, they have an exemption for municipalities that take property for non-payment of taxes. So basically, you get identified as the owner of the property, but you don't have to take any response actions as a normal property owner would unless there's an imminent hazard, which is a very specific set of circumstances defined by Mass DEP. In our investigation under the MRPC funding, like I said, we did find contamination there, petroleum, some heavy metals, some low levels of PCBs, but nothing that met the imminent hazard threshold. So if the town, or hopefully when the town, obtains ownership, you will go in under the exemption and you won't have to do anything. You can do the remediation and you can clean up the site, but you're not, it's not mandatory that you do it because of the exemption. You could even take the property, do some cleanup, and if you had an interested party, they could buy it and take it over, and then they could finish it. So there are a lot of options, and like Heather said, we haven't identified an imminent hazard at this point.
Yeah, what I heard you say about doing the work without us having the title or ownership obviously makes all the sense in the world, and we improve it, and then they would be they could be the beneficiaries of it. So it makes all the sense in the world.
Right. And EPA is concerned about that. They have mechanisms that, actually, I think we talked to Jim Byrne about this at EPA, and he said he's never actually seen it happen. He's had it at sites where it's been, a concern, but he's never actually seen that occur. But I think they could go after them to pay like EPA back if they benefited from it. But the point of the EPA, funding is not to provide a delinquent property owner with, a future benefit. It's really to help, municipalities deal with these blighted properties that are, sitting underused and not benefiting the town. So that's really the purpose of it. So
Sure. I'll open it up to the board. Does the board have any questions for Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah, if I could, I'm new to this. I mean, I know about this problem for sure, but I'm new at drilling. I'm new about drilling down on something like this. So,
sure.
You answered many of my questions as they kept occurring to me. You kept addressing to them. But theoretically, so if we take title, yes, that gives us the authority to and gives the state access to get this grant to clean this up. But if things are worse than actually anticipated, then that liability becomes our headache, essentially.
Well, again, as long as there's not an imminent hazard, I guess that, there's not a guarantee that there won't be an imminent hazard down the road. But, we've had some conversations with EPA and with Heather about some of the scenarios of an imminent hazard. One of the imminent hazards could be like if there was very high levels of soil contamination on the surface. And the solution to an imminent hazard for that is you put up a fence. Another potential imminent hazard here could be due to indoor air. Some of the contaminants are volatile and get into indoor air, but the building on the property is unoccupied. So you would only have an imminent hazard if the building was occupied. So You know, like I said, we haven't identified contaminant levels that meet the imminent hazard threshold, but then also, you know, above and beyond that, you know, the mitigations to potential imminent hazards are not always a big deal. You may want to put up a fence around this property once you obtain ownership to it anyway, just to keep people off of it or keep people from dumping on it anyway. So, you know, yeah, it's not a guarantee that there wouldn't be an imminent hazard, but based on what we found, and we did a fair amount of work under the MRPC funding, and EPA is prepared to do, you know, even more work on the property. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the information. You know, when we previously talked about this, I think we were kind of not unsure, but I think we were cautious of moving to take possession without understanding the cost implications. And you seem to have answered a lot of that. So I think the next thing is just taking possession. So thank you for your work. The information is very helpful.
Sure.
I have nothing to add.
Yeah, I would say that after being very cautious for many years and then, you know, dipping our toe and then foot and then up to our knees in the water, testing out the soils, I think we've done our due diligence. I really, like so many other projects in town, I think we're ready to just move forward on this and get this done, because if ever there was an eyesore in town, that certainly qualifies. So
Yep.
I thank you for all your work and all your information you provided us tonight. I think we know what our next steps are, and we will work through the town manager to proceed.
Okay, glad I could be of help.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, I also want to thank Joe. He's been alongside me every step of this process and has been very helpful in seeking out different sources and working with Mass Development, working with the EPA, DEP, all the different agencies that we could possibly get a solution to this problem. So
Yeah,
thank
well,
you, Joe.
I'll take this opportunity only because you mentioned it, to commend the town manager, because this has been on our radar for even when her predecessor was here, and other things were coming up. It's not like her predecessor in the town manager role didn't address it. There was just too much going on, and you know, Heather's really, you know, over the 5 years you've been with us, so has really moved this much further than I think any of us even thought was going to happen without us taking possession much earlier. So I thank you, Madam Town Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. You have a good evening, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I want to go back to our 7:05. I've been informed, and rightfully so, that it was a public hearing, and at the end of a public hearing or in the middle of the public hearing, I didn't ask for input from the public. So I would open it up to see if anybody had any public comment about the all alcohol license that we already reviewed or not, just so I know. And I apologize for my not following our own procedures.
Well, my name is Ann Penny. I live at 1361 Massachusetts Avenue. My driveway is right next to the store. Fortunately, I don't see the store. The driveway is long. The house is way in the back. I received a letter. I thought it was from the town hall, but I just told my husband it came from the store.
Right.
You know, informing us that the liquor license they were applying for. Did it pass already?
We did vote on it, but I want to give you the opportunity if you have.
I can't understand why they would want to sell liquor in a residential area. The school is right to my left. There are beautiful homes in back, way in the back. You can't see them. I mean, to sell, look, you can go to Hannaford to buy liquor. It's only down the street.
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for the applicant, and I apologize for my error that
Yeah.
that didn't come up when he was here, but
I thought the letter went to all the neighbors. Apparently it did?
Yeah, it has, by law, it has to go to all the abutters.
Okay, but no one came.
Right.
I mean, my driveway is right there.
Right.
And Michael knows he actually helped me one day clean all the junk from that store in my property.
Okay, well, that's a problem.
Yes.
Whatever they're selling, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem. Because the driveway is here, the store is to the left, and I've got property on both sides, and it's just trash. And my husband and I go out and clean it because I've asked them several times. I have difficulty with these people. I don't want to get into any arguments, so we clean it and we don't say anything. Michael actually helped me one day. And
We have the building inspector or the zoning, because that's a zoning issue, right? A violation. We can't have open trash on property of a store itself, and then certainly can't extend into.
a few times, I mean, we bought the house 10 years ago, and I mean, I lived in the city. We didn't buy that property in the suburbs to be with trash. I mean, the house is gorgeous, the property is gorgeous, but thank God I don't see it because we're way in the back. I mean, who wants to live like that? And I don't want to argue with them. Every time I go there, we don't do it anymore. She says it's not her customers. Who else can it be?
Well, I don't, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to adjudicate that here, but
Yeah.
that's not, it's not even a valid response. It doesn't matter if it's on their property,
Right.
yeah, so.
But, I mean, we clean, and I'm disappointed that it went through because I think there's going to be more difficulty there.
So to answer your first question, if I would venture a guess, that article, as the town manager said, there was an article put on a prior town meeting 2 years ago. It was put on by citizens' request, at the store's request, to see if the town would petition the legislature for special legislation to get another license, all alcohol license for the store. And the town passed it. The town meeting passed it. So this was just a
Formality.
well, I mean, yeah, officially we could have denied it, but I would say that the reason he applied for it was a business decision. It was, he's trying to keep a business going, and he already sold wine and beer.
But you have to agree that hard liquor is altogether different. There are restaurants who can't get a liquor license. Restaurants.
Well, not in Lunenburg, but.
Well, there aren't many restaurants in Lunenburg. I'm a little disappointed, but I guess I'll have to live with it.
Well, I'll open up to the board if anybody wants to revisit the vote.
I don't know if we need to revisit the vote, but I would like to comment.
Sure.
That I think this, I didn't vote for this at town meeting. I very vividly recall voting against this. However, when town meeting, in my opinion, when town meeting, the vote was to petition the legislature, as Mr. Alonso just mentioned, to pass special legislation for this specific purpose. And so this has gone to the state house. Normal licenses just go through the board, but this one needed to go through the state. So the state, the legislature and the state already approved this, and the town voters in town already approved it as well. So typically I try to go with when town meeting speaks, I listen. And so I don't know if it's wise for us to override town meeting's decision, but I think that your concerns can be addressed in other ways. Like there's a huge trailer out front that's been sitting there for probably 10 years. The back of it's open. It looks like crap. There's stuff all over this place. Maybe we could have the building inspector take a look at that and see if that's compliant. They do have the bins that sit over in that parking lot area, things trash all over the place. I agree with you.
And it comes right into my driveway, Michael, and it dips down, and I have to get down in there. It's very difficult. It's not just sweeping up trash.
And right behind them is certainly wetlands. As you know,
It's wetlands, yes.
You drive by it to get to your house. So
I'm surprised this passed because it's so close to the school too. To be selling hard liquor near a school.
Yeah, I think now you probably wouldn't get a building situated there, but it is in a commercial zone, and liquor is allowed in the zone. So we would have to find something overwhelming, and they've been a business for a long time. And we haven't had issues on the business side, but I do agree that we need to look into the property condition and compliance with zoning.
Yes,
And, once they bump up their hours whenever that happens, I mean, I'm a little concerned about a liquor store being open till 11, because I don't think we have any in town that are open till 11. They all close at 10. So I would be interested to see what they do with their hours. I don't recall them being open till 11 pre-COVID. I recall them closing at 9 o'clock. So it
I'm
would
not
be
against
something
them making money. I mean, everyone wants to make money and, you know, live a good life, but I just don't like the hard liquor in our neighborhood.
Well, we've never, I mean, if, there are the other all alcohol licenses in town, although they're not, again, he's not in a residential, he has a commercial zone property. So he may have houses around him, but he's in a commercial zone. We didn't make any special ruling or zoning designation for his property. So the property allows it. Again, zoning is approved by town meeting.
Right.
So, and all the other ones that we have in town, whether it's, you know, Central Mass, or whether it's, you know, Atlantis, or whether it's Hannaford, or, I mean, we have not had any problem with people with liquor licenses in their areas.
Okay.
So if anything happens specific to the liquor license, then you should be sure to contact us. The trash issue is not a liquor license, they're already a store, and that I think we should really refer to or defer to the zoning officer to see if they're in violation about some of the things on the property. Because I agree with you, it should look becoming. It should not lessen the area of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I repeat, I'm not against them making a good living. I want them to thrive. But I'm hesitant about the liquor license. I hope it goes well. Who knows? And thank you for addressing the trash.
Oh, thank you. And again, I apologize for not calling this intern.
That's okay.
It was my error.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, town manager report.
I'll start with the existing vacancies. There are 2 vacancies on the Architectural Preservation District Commission, 1 vacancy on the Council on Aging, now 1 vacancy on the Economic Development Committee. The Planning Board appointed position last night, so brought it down to 1. 1 regular member vacancy and 2 associate vacancies on the Green Communities Committee, 3 vacancies on the Historical Commission, and 1 associate vacancy on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Anyone interested in any of these positions can find the application form on the town website, complete the form, and send it back to the Select Board's office. And if you have questions on the roles and responsibilities, you can contact the Select Board's office at 978-582-4130, extension 144.
I think some more Pelham Bank forms came in the last
Yes.
couple days for some of these, so that's good.
Yes, so that they're likely to be on future agendas, and the list hopefully gets shorter.
Excellent.
Current employment opportunities, we currently have a digital services staff librarian position, which is a part-time benefited position, the DPW director position, which is full-time benefited position, a minutes clerk position, which we're down to looking for just 1. The Parks Commission needs a minutes clerk, so that's a part-time, non-benefited position, a trash and recycling coordinator, a van driver or multiple which is a part-time non-benefited position, and videographers for public access, which is part-time non-benefited. And information on those positions can be found on the town website, where you can find out how to apply and the duties, and responsibilities for those positions. An update on the status of fiscal 21 and fiscal 22 capital projects. So I'll go through the list. So in fiscal 21, I'm only going to discuss ones that are open still, not the closed out ones. The Public Safety Building Carport Project, that project was put out to bid, and the low bid was $298,750, which our capital article was $135. So at that point, it was deferred. And at this point, we're recommending, speaking with the police chief, to put this project on hold until the drainage issue is addressed at that building. The Town Hall ADA ramp sidewalk, that cost was covered under the Complete Streets grant, so that is one of the unexpended capital funds that's going towards the fiscal '23 capital plan.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
In front of the building, there used to be 3 parking spots, and one of them was an ADA parking spot.
Yes.
Now there are 2, and none of them were designated as,
I think the markings need to be put out there. I think there are 2 handicap spots.
and how did we
out
make,
there.
by the way, this is another thing, how did we make those parking spots? Did cars all of a sudden shrink because they're like 1 foot or 18 inches narrower that like my minivan, which is just an average car, can't even fit in the spot?
It was our pavement. I'd have to talk to
Okay.
DPW. But that was discussed about making it down to 2 at a select board's meeting.
Okay.
Because I wanted to highlight that, make sure everyone was aware that we were going to be losing a spot because of ADA requirements.
Okay, I'm fine with losing the spot, but one of them is supposed, we put the ramp in there, I'm assuming one of them should be an
Yes.
ADA.
Yep.
So we should, as the spring comes, we should probably get that marked.
Yes. The senior center kitchen remodel, that's an ongoing project. We've been having difficulty getting contract prices for that project. So Julie will be working on putting a bid together for that project. The Ritter kitchen remodel project, that was, Monty Tuck was supposed to help us out with that project. So we got started, got the ball rolling, and then their lead instructor left Monty Tech, and they're still haven't hired someone new. So that project is on hold until that person is hired. We have do have some of the materials for that project. Just it's mainly the labor that we really are depending on for that project. The 2 marked police cruisers, that they're both complete, and the balance remaining in that in those 2 articles, or the capital plan article for those 2 projects, is $13,593, and that will be added to the unexpended capital funding available for the fiscal '23 capital plan. The ALS equipment for the fire department, the remainder of the funding is for purchase of medications, and that will not be ordered until we get closer to licensing for our paramedic level service. The police portable radios, there are 2 remaining radios to be ordered. And the ADA ramp design, that's for the Ritter building. The design is complete, and the remaining funds, what's allotted, we need to, for the architect to assist with the APDC process and the permitting process. For fiscal '22 capital projects, the fire department turnout gear, though that is completely purchased and closed out. The police bulletproof vests, that is purchased and that will be closed out shortly as well. The DPW 6-wheel dump truck, the DPW director has had difficulty in procuring that truck due to supply chain issues. And the public safety building chiller replacement, that bid was awarded and the work will be done by May. The Flat Hill Culvert construction project is on hold until the additional funding is received, and we applied for the small bridge grant program. And the 2 marked police cruisers, they were ordered in the fall, and I got notification they were sent to production. So we should receive them this spring, then they need to be upfitted and should be on the road by sometime this summer. The Turkey Hill Elementary School exterior envelope repairs, that project is complete. That unexpended amount is going towards the fiscal '23 capital plan. The Ritter ADA ramp construction project, the design is complete, and that needs to go before the APDC before being bid.
That's the same one as the last one above, right? The ADA ramp design you said was for the Ritter?
That was the design, so we have the ramp construction.
Okay.
So the ramp construction, we can't bid until we go through the APDC process.
Gotcha.
The town hall repairs, that design is complete and needs to go before the APDC as well before being bid. The Page Street survey design permitting, the engineered design is nearing completion. The Ritter envelope repairs, the design is complete and needs to go before the APDC before being bid as well. The public safety building for the carpeting, that's on hold until the drainage issues are addressed. The Marshall Park master plan, that's currently underway, and the project is expected to be complete by May. And the DPW 3/4 ton pickup truck was ordered in the fall, but there is no delivery date as of yet.
Thank you for adding this into the town manager's report. For the applications that need to go before APDC, what do we need to do for that? Just submit a form for that?
Submit a form. I need to speak to the architect this week, since those plans were recently completed, and work with the architect on going before the APDC.
Okay.
Which would be additional certificate for alteration, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can we do it all in one swoop, or is it 3 separate?
It is, well, the two Ritter projects are combined.
Okay.
Because they are going to tie into each other. I think there's for the Ritter ADA ramp, part of it is a covered walkway, and it needs to address the entrance for ADA compliance. So that all ties in together. So those two projects will be combined. The town hall will be separate.
Okay.
An update on invitation to bids and requests for proposals. The assistant town manager put the cleaning services out to bid, and we received 5 bids. The bid was awarded to All Pro, who is the lowest responsible bidder. The contract price is within our budgeted amount for cleaning of facilities, and the new cleaning company will begin at the end of the month. The 30 School Street hazardous materials abatement earmark contract with the state was recently received and has been fully executed. This project was put out to bid, and we received 7 bids, and the lowest responsible bidder was Air Quality Experts for $44,650.
And what have we earmarked for this?
The earmark we received from the state was $50,000.
Excellent, good. That's great.
Yes, there was a snafu at the beginning with that had to be ironed out. I worked with the state on that because how it was earmarked was as a school project. So it was supposed to go through their Ed Grants program where they get the funding directly. So that would have been, more of an administrative headache, definitely on our end to iron that out. And it would look like they're receiving more funding for the schools and actually. So that took a little time, but that was all figured out.
Excellent.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Update on streetlights. Through our council from Mead, Tellerman, and Costa, that has been corresponding with Unitil and the DPU council. I received an updated book value for the streetlights and an explanation of certain costs. This information was passed on to the Green Communities Committee Chair, and I believe we are closer to coming to an agreed upon purchase price in order to execute a purchase and sale. And I've worked with the Green Communities Committee to put together RFP for LED streetlight design and project management services that will be finalized and advertised later this week. Public Employee Committee, the...
No COVID-19 update?
Yes. I'd like to say that almost
Oh,
last,
okay.
but...
I'm sorry.
I'm skipping out of order.
All right, fine. It's your report. I apologize.
The Public Employee Committee, the health insurance, our health insurance broker, representatives from Maya Health, myself and the assistant town manager are meeting with the Public Employee Committee tomorrow. And part of it will be to review our health insurance renewal rates, but we also, our PEC agreement is something that's signed with the town and the PEC committee. That's expiring in June, so that's to review any possible changes to that as well. So I'll keep the board updated on that. COVID-19 update. The weekly update from Board of Health on total number of new cases as of March 5th was 6, and the positivity rate was 1.12%. And the tax sale lien auction is still on for this Thursday at 10 a.m. in this meeting room. And as I stated earlier, the deadline for warrant articles is Monday at 4 p.m. in the Select Board's office.
Any questions for the town manager on any of this?
No.
No.
Excellent. Thank you for that report.
Welcome.
Current business, discussion on APDC's certificate to alter filing for 30 School Street. So on,
Thursday.
was Thursday, yes. So Thursday of last week, we had the hearing, the APDC had the hearing for our certificate to alter regarding the demolition of the old primary school at 30 School Street. There were several people beside the APDC in attendance, and they heard, people's perspectives and their concerns and their desires for those people who attended, and they continued it to this Monday?
The 21st.
21st, right, a week from yesterday. So that's when they will, in their next meeting, publicly discuss this and then take an official vote. So we will not know what their decision is until then. Anybody who would like to see the meeting, it's on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel. It was recorded, so you can see the whole meeting, which runs a little over an hour, I believe.
1 hour, 6 minutes, and 31 seconds.
Not, well,
1 hour and 6 minutes, I don't know about the seconds. I threw that in.
see, once you say that, now everything is in doubt. Now, is it really 1 minute and 1 hour and 6 minutes? Anyway, any further comment on that agenda item?
No.
No minutes, no warrants?
Warrants are behind
Oh,
us.
they're
The
on.
stack was too large, so I moved it.
I'm like, we didn't sign too much last week, so we should have a
No.
lot this week.
Okay. Payroll deductions in the amount of $615,349.44. Accounts payable warrant in the amount of $526,790.49. And finally, payroll in the amount of $917,564.43. And does anybody have any action items down there?
None.
Okay, committee reports. Mr. Dwyer,
I do not have a committee report.
Mr. Franco,
I don't?
Mr. Jeffries. All I can say is that the Finance Committee, because I was at I went straight to the APDC meeting on Thursday, so I did not go to the Finance Committee, but the Finance Committee heard from the DPW director on their budget. I think it was the last official act, or nearly the last official act of Rob Oliver, who has now gone on to his other position in Gardner. So we wish him well.
And as you bring that up, one of the things that was discussed at that meeting was one of the capital projects for Flat Hill. I've since talked to the engineer who's been working with Mr. Oliva on.
This is the drainage? No,
Drainage.
This is not the culvert, this is the drainage.
You're right, the
Okay.
drainage on Flat
Yeah.
Hill. And asked him if he can come to Tuesday's meeting, the 22nd, and asked Elaine to invite Ms. Whalen and Mr. Allison as well, since they've been
Good.
involved in that, directly affected. So that's to be continued.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, old business, discussion on the fiscal year 2023 budget, the capital plan, the financial forecast, and the annual town meeting warrant articles. Let's do them in order. Does anybody have anything to bring up on the 2023 budget? I am hearing nothing. Anybody bring up anything on the capital plan? Everybody should have seen the revisions of the capital plan by the town manager, that there was more funding going to be put toward it, so that we were able to go deeper into the list.
I put together a revised presentation too, with slides on the 3 additional projects and how it affected all the tallies of funding as well. So that's in the drive. I don't know if you want me to go over anything. I can.
I'm fine with it.
Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, financial forecast, anything on that?
Nope.
And annual town meeting warrant articles, if you just want to go over the ones, any ones that may be new from last week?
Yes, let me open that up.
When last we left the warrant.
Yes, we were at,
Where were we at? Wow.
we were up
A lot of verbiage
to,
here.
Q. So
Yes.
now, R is the article from the bylaw review committee. They did meet and discuss whether they were gonna postpone to a special town meeting and decided not to, that they were gonna move forward with this article as presented. It's essentially all non-substantive changes to the bylaws. Their reasoning was that nothing prohibits different boards and committees from submitting articles to be voted at town meeting outside of this.
Can we talk about this? Well, we're talking about it. So, I mean, I don't agree with that. I mean, I know that it's up to them, but I just.
You don't agree with what?
I mean, I agree that boards can submit things at any time, but I think the purpose of the bylaw review every 5 years is for the committee to actively engage those boards and committees to see about changes. And I know that the members of the committee have diligently worked through it. And I did speak with Mary Foyle, who is the chair, I believe, of the committee, and she mentioned that participation has been incredibly low. That very few people have come out and participated. But I think there may have been more opportunity, though, for them to engage with boards and committees. I know we haven't been engaged on this. So while we can go forward, I think this is kind of that reminder every 5 years that we need to do this. So I would be a little concerned moving forward and not having that engagement now, because it will probably likely be another 5 years before it happens. That's just my opinion.
No, and that's fine, and I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree. I think that, these kind of committees, the Charter Review Committee and the bylaw, things that come up periodically, they all act differently depending on who the membership is and depending what the circumstances. Of course, they were here during COVID, so it made it more difficult over the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So while on its face, I agree with what you said, and obviously engaging it, they're picking out some things that are just easy. I also think that every 5 years is probably not a whole lot. After we did it the first few iterations, there gets to be less and less to really focus in on, that other committees who are affected by those bylaws aren't addressing before the bylaw review committee anyway.
Mhm.
So I think their point is well taken on that, but.
Okay.
Okay.
The next,
So that's R.
so the next 3 are all planning board.
You have 2 S's.
Oh, sorry.
So the demolition
Yeah,
of the
that's
old primary
mislabeled,
school
yeah.
is S.
Yep. So that one was included last week.
Yep.
So the lettering is off here. But, so the only new articles are the bylaw review committee and 3 articles from the planning board at this time.
Okay, so you're going to change the 2 S's?
Yes.
Okay.
So the substantive change in, are we looking at second S or first S?
Well, the first S is in planning board. The first S is just asking for money to finalize the engineering and design services and for the demolition, money for the demolition of the old primary school.
Yeah. On the second one, did Mr. Bernie by chance provide any kind of like additional explanation, as he sometimes does, for why this was changed was made? Because it seems a little more substantial. It seems they're asking for a lot of, not a lot, but right now we have a process for marijuana, people who want to get marijuana. You have a process where they can kind of come before us, come before the planning board. And this is saying that they need to come before us first, get all their approvals before they will go before the planning board.
I don't know if it's a clarification on how process has changed over time, but I know Mr. Bernie usually does provide it. This was just to get it in, submitted on the warrant. And he usually always comes to the public hearing as well that finance holds.
And they'll have their own public hearing too.
Yes, which
Right.
is March 31st.
Okay.
I can say that and speaking with other communities, the process isn't always correct with the CCC. We received a request asking if our Uma Flowers, if they complied with all our bylaws. But obviously at this point, they don't because they haven't received the special permit through the planning board.
Yeah.
So there's a checkbox and you can put a note, which I did. I included that, it still requires them to go to a special permit. But we obviously approved the HCA. But it sounds like that stops them at a point. So and I've heard other communities say their applications, it had the same effect.
What I'm reading quickly between what we have and what they want to change it to is it changes it right now from a serial process. You have to get the Commonwealth for the they need to provide proof of approval from the state and the Cannabis Commission for their establishment before they can even submit an application to us. And the substitution is you can do them concurrently, knowing that you have to have both before you can do anything, but there's no reason why one has to happen completed before the other. I mean, it's actually, the second one seems to be a little more business friendly instead of just waiting, because the state could wait a long time.
Yeah, I kind of read it backwards, but it would be just helpful to just get that clarification. And that there also is a change to, I've been hearing that the state is changing these host community agreements.
Well, potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah, but that's what, I think I remember our prior member, our fifth member before he was stepping down from the board, brought that up, that there was talk. But there's always going to be talk about doing it. Until it happens, we can't really do much.
Yeah. Do you know if that has moved forward or if it's just talk?
No, I brought it up during our meeting with the delegation when they came in about host community agreements, and that would, because there's multiple bills filed on that. So I'm not sure the status of those, but that should be something that the board should put on an agenda to discuss in a position to share with the delegation.
Sure. Very nice to have all the bills about what the different nuances are, so we know what position to take. Okay, and then they have the zoning districts, the location of districts, which got passed over last time, and I guess this is it being revisited, and U is related to that. So this was on last time too, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that brings us to U. If we stay out of double letters, we're fine. Okay. update on cease and desist and the non-renewal of common Vittler license. By the way, I found out that that's how you say that. Do you know that? I did not know that.
How do you say
Vittler license.
Vittler?
Yeah, that's actually how you say it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that recently somewhere, like, because I always try to say the whole thing,
Yeah.
Victrola, but it's just Vittler. Anyway, for Conrad's Drive-In, we had this last week in talking with town council. It was brought to our attention that while we were interpreting one part of this where a property on which a business operates, whether or not they own that property, is owing back taxes, we read it that the applicant can request a public hearing, but according to town council, it is required that if we're not going to issue it, we have a public hearing. We did not do that. So we have now told the applicant that we will have a public hearing on, it's in the drive. Wait for it.
March 29th, or
No,
April
April.
5th.
Yeah,
Yep, April 5th.
April 5th, unless they have paid it by then, and according to the executive secretary spoke with the business owner who said that it will be paid by, he stated he would come in this week to pay the remainder in full, so that's our, did I miss anything on that?
No, there is further update to
Okay.
that. They did come in today, paid down another portion of the outstanding taxes. There's still remaining balance, and they discussed with the collector doing a payment agreement.
Okay.
So I put a tentative item for next week. If they enter into a payment agreement for the remainder with the tax collector, that the board could vote on the license next week.
Okay, so just have the tax collector let us know.
Yes, she'll put something in writing.
Officially,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything on that? Discussion on article to address deficiencies in the APD bylaw. Now, this is probably not going to get on this warrant this year, because we have like a week to do this. So we should start, we just open it up here. So there was talk about deadlines and when the response times have to be. We talked with, and we saw the communications from the town council about how they interpreted that he believed in some cases the APDC policies and rules and regulations were stricter than the bylaw, which he felt may overstep the bounds, so we might want to work in trying to clarify that. I agree. I don't know how everybody on the board feels about trying to tighten up what those responses are. If you submit an application, how long do they have to say, hey, you don't have a complete application? And if they do reject it, why? And then once it's accepted, how long do they have to have the hearing? Very much like the planning board has on their hearings. So it's probably wise for us to look at this and make sure it gets on the special town meeting in the fall and work with the APDC to make sure, with town council, just to say what his town council's objections, or not objections necessarily, but where he feels there's gray areas, and try to eliminate those.
Something I think is important is to put a deadline on when a determination on the completeness of the application is.
Right. Right. It's kind of like we have with the right of first refusal. When things come out of chapter, we have X amount of time to say, hey, it's not complete, you don't have X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. I mean, I have two thoughts. So one is that I think that I'm not sure if a bylaw change is necessary, but I think given the current dynamic, it probably is necessary. But the other part of this is I think that we probably, in my opinion, I think we could send them, we could go through their bylaws and tell them where we find conflicts. Because ultimately, we're the ones, based on their decisions, who decide if we're going to pursue litigation. And it's based on advice from counsel. And I think that we're probably all on the same page of music about certain things. And I think that I think if we formally communicate to them that we are not going to support enforcement actions on certain provisions in their current rules, that may prompt them to change it, thus resolving the conflicts.
I mean, however we do it, I mean, it has to be addressed, and it has to have them involved, the town council involved. I think there's different methods potentially to do it, and I don't think we're arguing about which ones right now. We just want to at least acknowledge that we all want to address that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, we don't have to dwell on it unless somebody has
No.
some brilliant brainstorm right now on these particular regulations. Okay. Upcoming meetings, we have our last meeting in March, next Tuesday. Mr. Jeffries will chair, because I will be away on business.
Thank you.
And unable to attend on Zoom, because I'll be out of even the time zone, so. Then we'll have, the 29th is our off week. And then our next is on April 5th, which is, of course, the home stretch to town meeting. Any public comment from the public this evening? Anybody?
Mr. Passios.
Mr. Passios?
Yeah, Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. More a question and comment in regards to the conversations that you guys just had about the bylaw review committee. I'm assuming that you've got a red line edited version in your drives, and I'm wondering why that's not up on the town website. I just checked a few minutes ago under that committee's site, and there is nothing there to review for other committees and the citizens.
There's probably no reason why it can't be put on there. We can put the red line. I mean, that's, I don't want to confuse people. I don't think everything in that red line is going to be on their warrant article, right?
Not sure. I just received the warrant article today, so
Right.
I have to
So
cross-reference
we're going to have to cross-reference. I just want to not confuse people, because what they redlined and what they are presenting as an article in town meeting may not be the exact same thing.
Right, well, the earliest possible moment that they do actually have a document that's going to be presented at town meeting, I'd appreciate it to be available.
Yes.
I can ask the
Thank you.
town clerk to put it up on there. She's part of the committee. So she
Right.
can-
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment from the public?
I had one, just clarification.
Yes.
As long as there's not someone else.
We fall in that gray area between the public and the board. So
Yeah.
You're not really the public, but you're not really the board either.
Where do I fit? Related to the 925 Mass Ave, is there a clear consensus that we should move forward on foreclosing on the property now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want, clear,
Yes,
concrete
it's only-
direction
It's
on
only
it.
4-0, but yes, I
Okay.
think it's clear.
All right. All right, thank you.
Any final public comment from the board?
No.
I will say one thing on public comment, and it's in all the stuff going on in the world, this is a much lighter topic, but one that hits me every year. It hits me twice a year, as I'm sure it does lots of you, we just passed the daylight savings time. And our own senator, Senator Markey, actually put in a bill to the U.S. Senate to stop and just keep daylight savings time 365 days a year, 366 on those leap years. It did pass the Senate. I hope it passes the House, because the practice of going back and forth to me is the most annoying and useless practice I can think of. And while, yes, I agree with those people saying there's other big fish for the Congress to be doing, I'm glad that we could get something done like this, however just an annoyance it is. So I want to thank Senator Markey for putting that forward, and everybody voted for it. And now if Representative Trahan is out there listening, please vote in the House in favor of it, so we can stop the crazy practice of running around your house, changing every clock and everything, and wondering why in the digital age they don't change themselves anyway.
And being pitch black at 3:45.
Right, exactly.
Well, I can see this becoming a real lightning rod issue in the House.
You know what? In the last 8-10 years, you never know.
Although I will add to this, just on a lighthearted note, I went to law school in Indiana. You know that they had
Yes.
county by county?
Yes. Yeah, that was the craziest.
Oh,
That-
I mean, there's two states that don't do it at all. Arizona and Hawaii don't do it at all.
Yeah.
But Hawaii, you understand, like, how much does it matter, right? Because they're not contiguous to anything. But Arizona is kind of weird, but Indiana was the worst, because you could live in one county, and if you lived in one and worked in the one that changed it, I didn't even know how you'd set your alarm every day. How would you know if you were late or early until you got there?
Yeah,
What do you set your car clock to?
Marion County, which is where Indianapolis is, that was sort of like, less rural, so once you got out, all those surrounding counties were on, the farm time, basically.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Hopefully there's no discussion. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Good night, everyone. The rest of the board will see you next Tuesday. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other.
Recording stopped.